right, so today we are learning our last factoring method. So let's review the other two that we've learned so far. So the first factoring method we learned was the difference of squares. So I can factor the difference of squares. So let's look at the example 4x squared minus 64. You always want to check for a GCF first. And this one does have a GCF and it's 4. So I'm going to start by factoring out the 4. So divide everything by 4 here. 64 divided by 4 is 16. And then I'll bring down the GCF. And I will make my two parentheses. And then I'll take the square root of x squared is x. Signs are always plus minus. Square root of 16 is 4. And there's your final answer. Let's look at the second method that we learned yesterday, factoring a quadratic trinomial. So this time it has 3 terms when a equals 1. So this a term is 1. So you check for your GCF, there isn't one. So I'm going to pull the c term 12 to the side, list the factors, and then I'm going to find the pair of factors that add to 7. So that would be my 3 times 4. 3 plus 4 is 7, so this one works here. Then I'll make my 2 sets of parentheses. Take the square root of x squared, that's just x, so x and x. And then I'm going to put in my circled factors, so x plus 3 and x plus 4, and that's my answer. All right, so we're going to learn the third and final factoring method today. I can factor a quadratic trinomial, so still 3 terms here, when a is greater than 1. So now there's going to be a number out in front of the x squared term here. So let's look at an example. Let's look at 7x squared plus 16x plus 4. And then to the side, we'll write our success criteria. So as always, you want to first check for a GCF. So 7, 16, and 4 does not have a GCF. So I can go to my first step. I'm going to multiply the first and last term together. Okay, so I'm looking at 7 and 4. So 7 times 4 is 28. And then I'm going to take that number 28, my product here, and I'm going to list the factors of 28. So step 2, list the factors of that product. Okay, so factors of 28. I can have 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. Now I'm going to look at these pairs here, and I'm going to see which of these factors add to my middle term, 16 here. So find the set of factors that add to the middle term. Okay, so my middle term is 16. 1 plus 28 is 29. That doesn't work. 2 plus 14 is 16, so that works. I was trying to find the set that adds to this middle term 16. So now you're going to take this circled pair and you're going to replace the 16x with these factors. So step 4, replace the middle term with the factors. All right. So now order is important here. So I have the factor 2 and 14. So I'm going to start with my 7x squared. And then I know at the end I'm going to have the 4 here. So I'm going to look at my numbers here, 2 and 14. Which would be a factor of 7? So what matches up with 7? Well, 14 does. So I'm going to put 14 next to the 7. And then the 2 next to the 4. Because 14 is a multiple of 7 and 4 is a multiple of 2. So I know that they need to go together. All right, now I need to group the terms. So I'm going to group my first 2 terms and my last 2 terms. So that's step 5, group terms. All right, now I'm going to look for the GCF of each group. GCF of each group. And I'm going to factor out that GCF of each group. So I'm going to start with my first group, 7x squared plus 14x. So the GCF of this group would be 7x. So that's my GCF, 7x. I'm going to pull that out, and I'm left with x plus 2. Then I'm going to look at my next group. The GCF would just be 2. So plus 2, positive 2. And then I'm left with x plus 2 after I divide everything by 2. Now, I'm going to write the common factor. So what factor repeats itself? Well, I have x plus 2 and x plus 2. If these are not the same, you did something wrong. These should always be the same. So I'm going to write that first. And then I'm going to write what's left over. The other factor would be 7x plus 2. So write the common factor and then write the other factor. Okay. So this is your final answer right here. Okay, we're gonna do some more examples. So let's continue with some more examples here. Let's try 8x squared plus 14x plus 3. So I'm going to multiply 8 and 3, my first and last terms. 8 times 3 is 24. Then I'm going to list all the factors of 24. So that would be 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. Then I'm going to look for the pair of factors that add to the 14. So what pair of factors add to 14? That would be 2 times 12. Now I'm going to replace this 14x with 2 and 12. So I have the numbers 2 and 12. So what is a factor of 8? What would match up with the 8 and what would match up with the 3? So 2 would match up with the 8. 12 would match up with 3. Okay, then I'll group first two and last two. Now I'm looking for the GCF of both groups. So the GCF of the first group would be 2x. So I'm left with 4x plus 1. GCF of the next group would be a positive 3, left with 4x plus 1. Check to make sure they're common. They are, so we're on the right track. That's what we'll write first. And then left over is 2x plus 3. And that would be your final answer. Let's do another one. Okay. Let's try 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. So I'm going to take 2 times negative 7 here. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Then I'm going to list all my factors. Now I'm going to find the pair that adds to negative 13. So that would be right here, 1 times negative 14. Then I'm going to replace the middle term with the 1 and the negative 14, trying to match them up here. So 2x squared plus 1x minus 14x minus 7. I put that 14 by the 7 there. Now group them. Take out your greatest common factor. So greatest common factor of the first one is x. You're left with 2x plus 1. Now negative 14x minus 7. I'm going to take out a negative 7 here. 2x plus 1. And the reason why I took out a negative x, because I know that I want this to match up. So I know I wanted this to be a positive 2x and a positive 1. So taking out the negative 7 gave me that. So they match up. And then x plus 7, or minus 7. And that's the answer there. Okay, let's do another one. You can always pause the video and try these on your own as well. Okay, multiply 4 times negative 5. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Then I'm going to list the factors of negative 20, trying to find the one that adds to negative 8. There it is right there. 2 times negative 10 is negative 8. So I'll replace that. I'm going to put the 2 with the 4 and the 10 with the 5. Group them. Greatest common factor here is a 2x, so I'm left with 2x plus 1. I'm going to take out a negative 5 here. I'm left with 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1 is my common. And then left over 2x minus 5, and that would be the answer. All right, I want to do just one more because I want to show you one that has a GCF. All of these did not have a GCF, so let's look at one with a GCF. All right, so the GCF in this problem is 3. So 3 can divide into all of these numbers evenly. So I'm going to start by factoring out a 3. So divide each term by 3. Okay, and I'm going to put this 3 as its own group to remind me that that's my GCF. Okay, now I'm going to look at this 3x squared plus 22x plus 7 and start my process. So 3 times 7, 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, and then I'll list all my factors of 21, and I know I want to get this 22. So that's pretty easy. That would just be 1 times 21. Because 1 times 21 is 21, but if you add them, 1 plus 21 is 22. So that's the one that works. Now don't forget to bring down your GCF of 3 here. Just kind of let it hang out in the front. And then you're going to bring down that 3x squared. Then you're going to replace this 22x with 1 and 21, matching them up. I'm going to put the 21 next to the 7. Okay, and then group them. Let this guy hang out in front here, bring that down. Greatest common factor in this first group would just be x. Then here it would be 7. Bring down that 3, and then I have the 3x plus 1 as my common factor, and then x plus 7. And then that would be your final answer. All right, now you're ready to do the worksheet.